Hello. Welcome back to another video. This video is going to be like a Q&A video. Recently, I made a post on my Patreon page asking my patrons to ask me questions, and I would answer them in a Q&A video for YouTube. See, there's layers of content happening here. But anyway, I thought it would be fun. If you're interested, by the way, in my Patreon, I'll link that down below. I'm having a lot of fun on there. It's different. It's not like a regular social media platform. I'm focusing this Patreon on one specific project. It's mainly this creator-owned comic that I'm working on. It's called The Adventures of Jan and Tex. I made a quick video about it probably a year ago at this point when I first started the Patreon page. And I'm glad to say that we're 23 pages into the story already as of this recording. So that's cool. That's an accomplishment. This is all being done without a publisher and without any editors. So my patrons are kind of like my focus group and my editors. So this is all me. I'm just doing all the artwork. I'm writing it. I'm doing the lettering. So far, it's a black and white comic, and it's a lot of fun. It's an experiment. I feel like I'm learning a lot about creating and writing and telling a story from start to finish. I love working in a collaborative kind of way with other creators, working with writers and colorists and letterers. But it also is nice to have something that's all mine, and I could just sort of take it where I want to take it. And so far, I'm liking the feedback that I'm getting from some of my patrons. So if you're interested, join the fun. You get to see the comic. I don't post the pages of the comic anywhere else. So right now, you could only read this comic exclusively on Patreon. And I have plans. I'd like to turn this Patreon into something even larger, and have certain ideas that hopefully I could get to pretty soon. So if you're interested in joining the fun, the cheapest tier is only $1, and they go up from there. So I'll leave the link down below. Also, you could then ask me questions on my Patreon, and then I'll answer them here on YouTube. There you go. Win-win. Anyway, the first question is from Laura. She asks, would you like to try the European market, the European comic market? Yeah, I would. I don't really know much about it. I made a video recently showcasing a European comic artist. I like looking at the art, even though I can't read the words. But I've been known to collect some translated copies as well. So the European comics and the European comic market, especially recently with this creator-owned comic, has been inspiring me quite a bit. There's this artist. His name is Alain Dodier. I don't know if I'm probably not saying that right. But he has a series that he works on. It seems like it's almost in the vein of Tintin a little bit, but brought into a little bit more of a modern day. So yeah, there's a lot of really incredible European artists that I follow on Instagram. I'll try to maybe put them on the screen or link them down below. But so that's the majority of what I know about the European comic market. Is really just as a fan. I don't have any connections to like a publisher, or I don't even know any editors out there or anything like that, but I would love to. I feel like in a way this Jan and Tex comic, for me, it feels like it's almost like a European comic. I think because I've been inspired by a lot of different European comics, I'm trying to almost make my own. So I feel like sometimes the comic that I'm making is almost like a translated version of a comic that's like in French or Italian or something like that. European comics are very different than American comics. I love American comics too. I mean, that's what I grew up on. I don't think one is better than the other, but they're very different. They approach the medium differently. They approach storytelling differently. The pacing is really different. In American comics, at least in American mainstream comics, you have like the monthly grind as a comic artist where you're turning out 20 to 22 pages a month, and fans are reading these shorter installments of a story monthly, whereas what it seems like in Europe is that an artist has a year, maybe more, to work on a book, and it's a much more of a lengthier book. So yeah, it's kind of like the difference between maybe a feature-length film and a half-hour sitcom or something like that. But both are great, just for different reasons. So anyway, that's the long way of getting to the fact that, yes, I would love to get involved in the European comic market if I only knew. Okay, next question is from Glenda. Asks, or says, you are an amazing artist. Well, thank you very much. Will you be doing more Bughead beautiful drawings? Your themes are great. I appreciate that, Glenda. Bughead, for any of you who aren't familiar, hashtag Bughead, you could search that on any social media platform. You'll be introduced to a world you never knew existed. I certainly didn't know that it existed, and it has quite a fan base for sure. Bughead is I guess a combination of Jughead and Betty, and there's never really been, I guess, a major storyline in the Archie comics world of Jughead and Betty being like an item, but ever since the TV show Riverdale, that has changed things, and it seems like there's an audience that is very much into those two being together, and so I've been known to draw quite a few Bughead drawings, and now it seems to be a big part of at least my social media presence is drawing a lot of drawings of Bughead, and I would say 90% of the commissions that I get are Bughead related. So to answer your question, will I be doing more Bughead drawings? Yeah, for sure, as long as there's an audience for it and I keep getting requests, I certainly will. I feel like there's a Bughead story out there that's just waiting to be written and drawn, perhaps by me. I don't know. One day, we'll see. Anyway, thanks so much for asking that question and for your kind words. I appreciate that. Vince asks, where do you usually work? Do you enjoy making art in different places? Thanks, Vince. Where do I work? Currently, or nowadays, I work at home. But I used to leave my home a lot and work outside of the house most days of the week. When I was living in New York City, where I'm from, I used to just, take my work to public places all the time. I had many different spots all over the city. Anyone who knew me knew that I juggled a handful of different public places in New York City, where I would just, all I needed was a table, and I would just bring my Cintiq companion and just get my work done. It helped me to, I guess, break up the day a little bit more than if I were just working in my apartment all day long. When you're working, especially in comics, the deadlines can be very tight and the workload can be a little bit heavy and even monotonous at times. So breaking up your scenery, like literally what I'm looking at around me, helped me kind of, I guess, stay creative, keep things new, fresh, exciting, whatever. If I were to wake up and sit in the same spot every day, I started to get very, bored and frustrated and all that kind of stuff. So by working outside of my apartment, I felt like I was being a productive member of society by, getting on the train and commuting and finding a place to work, staying there, being surrounded by other people. That's a huge benefit. And when you're working for yourself, oftentimes you're by yourself, and that could be great at times, but a lot of times it's good to be around other people. Anyway, with all that said, my work schedule has gone back to being much more at home, working much more at home now. But I don't live in New York City anymore, so I could get my work done while I'm home and then explore outside. So eventually I'll probably get sick of these surroundings and then need to change things up and take my work elsewhere. And then sometimes I won't just take my work and work in another surrounding, I'll just take like a sketchbook or some paper and something to draw with. If, for instance, I go to like a museum or something like that, and oftentimes I like to just sketch. I'll maybe sketch like a sculpture or something like that, or more often I'll just like sketch the people walking around or sitting. I like to go to a park and just sketch people. But even if they're moving around and fidgety, it just gets you quick, and it forces you to just capture some of the gestures and stuff like that. So I enjoy doing that as well. I think that's a really healthy thing to do as an artist, just to train your hand and your eye, and also just observe things around you too. It helps your imaginative drawing get stronger. So cool. Those were all the questions I got so far. Not too many, but just enough, right? So if you have some questions, leave them down below in the comments. Maybe I'll make like a part 2 answering YouTube comment questions or something like that. But hope this was somewhat interesting. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Bye.